Big International Chest Day. Let's go make Arnie proud. Here we go.
I wanna be the greatest. Everybody on the fake shit. I look around and feel like everybody is the fakest. I make this every day and I'm impatient, hoping one day I blow up from the basement. Statement, the top is so vacant. I don't hear shit that I think is amazing. Waiting for my day when I'm playing sold out shows for 1,000 faces. Hey, give me that crown. Get in my way and to be put down. It ain't your place, all this my town. If I want that shit, then I'll get it right now. I'm losing it, the noose it fits, some loose shit, a stupid myth. You choose to live or choose to dip, you choose to fight or lose your grip and lose a gift. Oh,
I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign.
Hey guys, Coach Dan here. We are week 4 fat loss phase. Session number 1 for the week. We're going push day, International Chest Day, because that's how it was intended when we were all put on this planet. It was International Chest Days on Monday. Everyone knows that. Don't change that. If you do change that, then you are not welcome here. So we go International Chest Day or push day. Something noteworthy about this week is that this is week 4 of a fat loss phase. My weight is not really trending down and I only have 6 weeks left before we have a vacation. So we are getting some extra steps in, taking away 300 calories. So I've taken my calories from 2,500 to 2,200 and I'm taking my steps up. I was kind of getting between 8 and 10,000. Now I'm going to make sure minimum's 10,000, somewhere between 10 and 12,000, something like that. So those are the little things we have to do. Sometimes, progress plateaus for some people. Everyone's a little bit different, which is a challenging thing. So for me, I kind of adapt pretty quickly. So I've got to make that next push, which means, I've got to get up a little bit earlier in the morning, get my steps in, take away a little bit of food, find out how that's going to work best for me, where I'm going to take the calories away from that will work and be sustainable. So that's me. Reduction in calories, increase in steps, play the waiting game, play the experiment, check the outcomes as in body weight. If we're trending in the right direction, stay the course, right? All about sustainability. Okay, workout for today is business as usual, exactly the same as last week. Yep, looks like we're going to go the same, right? We're trying to get a little bit of progression. So first off, medium incline bench press on the Smith machine, focusing on the upper chest, or making sure our emphasis is kind of getting up towards the collarbone as far as where we're working. Then we go seated chest press with the yoga block behind the back for a large stretch, big chest stretch. Then we are looking at machine fly with the hands up on the posts or the whatever you call the arm that comes down to get that little bit of higher positioning. And then we move into some shoulder stuff. So we've been doing a lying incline cable machine lateral raise, which has been very effective, really tough to cheat the movement because you're lying down and you're kind of pinned onto a bench, so that can be a really good one if you need a good shoulder exercise. Neutral grip plate loaded shoulder press. What I am thinking with the neutral grip plate loaded shoulder press is to kind of make it a different rep range. I've been pimping the 8 to 12 rep range for a fair while now, but I'm thinking about maybe bringing it down, try and get some heavier stuff in, see if that can't, get stronger at the 6 to 8 rep range, say for an example, and then take it back to the 8 to 12 rep range or something along those lines. I'm thinking that might be a good option. And then Smith machine skull crusher to finish. That one gets me quite sore, so I quite like that. Smith machine being, quite stable. You can really work pretty hard. You just have to line the bar up at the beginning such that it's kind of going to where you want. So that's going to be the workout today, guys. We're going to smash it out. Week 4 of our fat loss phase. We cannot, shy away from high effort in the gym. We have to keep trying to progress, even if we're not feeling it. But International Chest Day is a good day to start. So let's hit the Smith machine. All right, a sneaky change of order is on the cards. We've got the Smith machine unavailable, so we head to the machine chest press first. Normally, I don't really like doing this because, I still don't really like doing it because, it kind of throws off your numbers and stuff like that. You can't really be certain if you're progressing or not, but again, it just doesn't always work out how you want to in a commercial style of gym. And again, ultimately, all we're really after is stimulating our muscles for muscle growth, whether it's this first or that first. that's probably not super important. We're getting that stimulus and, you know, again, will my numbers on that be down and maybe this be up more than what they would be otherwise? Yeah, potentially, but again, what can you do? You either wait around and just can't afford to do that when you've got stuff to do in your life. And again, we get the stimulus from muscle growth, we're happy either way. So this is a horizontal chest press machine, kind of comes out, dips slightly down, the bench is slightly back. So it does kind of almost come into like a lower pecky kind of movement, but it's felt really effective. I always really like this chest press machine. There's one little variation that I do, which is the yoga block here, and I take the yoga block behind the shoulder blades to push me further this way so I can get a deeper stretch. So it is a good chest press machine, but I just don't get as deep as I would like and don't get as big a stretch as I would like, so we use a yoga block. So we take that, we put it essentially in between our shoulder blades, grab the handles like such, something that I did used to do that I sort of once videoing my training a lot I found was probably not super, what didn't look like a super strong position, which I had my handles quite narrow, but essentially what it looked like when I was pressing was going like something like this, you know, when you take a narrow handle on the bench press. So what I more want to do is line up my whole arm so it's pushing directly against where the resistance is going, and because this converges a little bit, it makes sense for my hands to be a little bit wider. Push out aggressively, control the way in, stretch the chest, push out. So we'll do a couple sets here, 8 to 12 rep range. Again, maybe my performance will be pretty good because I'm coming to it fresh, but that is okay. Let's build it on up. All right, incline Smith machine bench press next. This would normally come first in our routine. However, it was not available. So we've gone our horizontal chest press first, and now we're moving over here. Now, there might be some carryover from that, causing the performance on this to be worse, as I mentioned over there, but that is the way she rolls sometimes as far as gyms go, and you can't always just hang around forever. And again, ultimately, all we're trying to do is stimulate the muscle for growth. Just because our numbers might not line up this particular week, over the course of time, we'll see those trends rolling. So I want to I want to try and explain this as simply as possible. So if we're trying to target different parts of the chest, we use the incline to essentially do that. So if you think about the Smith machine and any free weight, they're coming directly down. And if you think about the incline bench, what that actually does is it essentially moves your body further up this way while the weight continues to come directly down. So if we use me as an example, I'm moving this way, the weight keeps coming down, and if I keep moving this way, because I'm moving the bench like that, the bar will start to kind of contact your body higher up, and therefore the idea is that it will work different fibers and more upper fibers of the chest. That's essentially the idea. Now, the other thing we want to do, generally speaking, is making sure that our arm is kind of directly underneath the bar. So I could do this such that when I am on the flat, I line it up over here, but then you'll be up like this and kind of pressing with your arms like that because of that. So the incline allows us to focus on different parts of the chest while keeping everything well supported underneath one another. And then essentially we're pushing up directly against the resistance, not, you know, our arm going in this direction and we're trying to push it up in that direction. So I still feel like I didn't explain that well. But anyway, incline, bench press, upper part of the chest, that's the idea. You line it up such that you want to focus on a particular area and you can try different areas over time. So again, I've already lined this up prior to starting this description. So I know that it's going to be high up on my chest. I know that I have on this bar, I put 2 fingers on the smooth. For me, that lines up pretty well. And then I focus on driving my arm in towards my body or midline to use my chest. All right, we shall see how performance is, hopefully pretty good, but yeah, coming off of the chest press, don't know, so we'll get in there and give it a go, hey? Let's go. Yes. All right, machine fly up to finish our chest movements. So up until now, we've done our horizontal chest press. We did these out of order, and then we did an incline Smith machine bench press, and now we do a somewhat isolation movement of the chest fly. I like to do an isolation movement as well for my chest. I mean, you've got those compound movements where we're pressing at the same time where we're using the chest. So you think what's going to incorporate there is going to be, chest, anterior deltoid, tricep. Now, when I do a fly, it is true that the chest will work along with the bicep and the anterior deltoid again to kind of pull everything into the center here. But we certainly take the tricep out of it, so no straightening of the arm. We keep a similar arm angle. There is a way in which we can make the bicep chill as well by slightly softening the elbow so the muscle isn't as stretched and we don't feel as much tension there. So get an isolation movement in just to kind of cap off the chest volume. So this will end up being 6 total sets of chest today, and I do 6 total sets of chest on another push day. So we get 12 total sets throughout the week. So the unique thing that I do about my fly as well, instead of being down here, I set my seat pretty low and I have my hands up here. Now that's just going to allow my arm to angle up a little bit, and again, with my emphasis being more towards the upper pec, that suits my preference pretty well. So I'll grab a handle, soften the elbow, drive the arms towards one another, stretch, drive. I hit a personal record on this one last week, so those are good signs. Okay, let's build it on up. You can do your sets. Okay, plate loaded shoulder press next with the neutral grip. Again, we would normally do a lateral raise, so a side delt exercise first, because that is a higher priority for me. But due to availability, we will go here first. So the thing to keep in mind, what you'll see with shoulder exercises is usually the shoulder have 3 broad categories. Category 1, anterior deltoid. So the anterior deltoid, they all finish in the same spot, by the way. They all go to the deltoid tuberosity, so which is down there on the side of the arm. So when you see this kind of round muscle on the side of the arm kind of finish, I don't know, that far down your arm or so, that's where they're all going. They're all going to the deltoid tuberosity, but the different components of the deltoid come from different spots. So the anterior goes to the lateral part of your clavicle, so you can sort of feel it kind of work all the way in here to the collarbone or clavicle. Then the lateral part, again, deltoid tuberosity, to the acromion, which is the side part of your arm. So same spot, deltoid tuberosity, acromion, kind of in that direction there. And then the back part, same, deltoid tuberosity, but onto the scapula or your shoulder blade. So what that means is to kind of train them preferentially would look slightly different because they're going to different places. And once I finish doing this, I'll give you a visual representation. So anterior delt here in this direction, kind of pulling your arm in these kind of directions. So even with bench presses and stuff like that, it's going to be able to help out in that regard because it can kind of pull your arm across. Lateral delt is kind of taking your arm out to the side in these kind of directions there. Then posterior delt is kind of taking your arm back. So when we go to our lateral delt exercise, before you'll see it's kind of like this fly variation that I'm doing lying down. So it's out to the side. This one here, all that swinging your back around for it to be about the anterior delt, we're trying to draw our arm in towards our head in these kind of positions there to use the anterior delt. So I'm going neutral grip for the time being, head on the pad for stability, and I'm driving the arm in towards the shoulder. I've got the seat height set. high-ish, so I'm up high, so I can go through a large range of motion. If my seat was way down, I might finish the movement like this and potentially just not get some of that stretch that you can get from that low position. Yeah, so that's a shoulder press. That's how to differentiate between the shoulder muscle or the deltoid muscle, different components of it. Now, what I'm doing here at the moment as well, what I'm thinking about doing now is also trying a heavier weight today. So I'm going to go through, instead of doing 8 to 12, I'm going to increase my weight and see if I can't progress my 6 to 8s. So progress the weight and see if I can build up my strength in 6 to 8s, and then maybe later on progress back to 8 to 12s. And that's something to keep in mind. Like, you don't have to stick to one particular rep range, heavy or light or moderate or whatever. You can move between the two and potentially they can kind of feed each other. All right, let's build it up. All right, Smith machine skull crusher. Now again, normally in order here, we would have lateral deltoids coming up, but not available. So we go Smith machine and they shouldn't affect each other too much. I would even do these as a superset because triceps and delts shouldn't affect each other too much. But yeah, this is a couple of pieces of equipment that are highly used, so that might be a bit greedy of me. Anyway, onto the Smith machine skull crusher. So the Smith machine skull crusher or tricep extension, again, is a tricep exercise where we use the Smith machine and we get that increase in stability. So you can really go to town without it worrying about wobbling around. It goes up and down. What that means is at the beginning, we want to make sure we really set the positioning because it's only going to go up and down. If you kind of, you're doing an easy bar or dumbbells, you can get into position and put them where you want. Here, it's up and down. So once you get it right, you've got to stay there. And the hard thing is there's not a sort of common setting each time, so I've got to kind of figure it out, take a couple of sets to kind of line things up and get them right. The other thing is you can do this a couple of different ways. Like, I do it sort of slightly above my head, but you can do it to your forehead, you can do it to your chin or throat area, whatever feels really good for you. So I've just figured this one out for me over time has felt the best, so I keep doing it, right? So we lie back. So I already know that I want to line it up such that I think it's going to come down and kind of touch the top of my head. Lower down under control, big elbow flexion. It caps out the bottom of the machine. And so far that's been pretty good for me. Now, I started doing this one a couple of months ago now, probably, in a high rep range because I was having a little bit of elbow discomfort. So I changed from doing, might have been the easy bar variation, changed over to this, did it in a high rep range to kind of iron out that elbow issue. It's gone away now, but I've still felt like it's really effective in that high rep range. So I'll do the first set probably up towards, 15 to 20 reps. So pretty high, but that works all right for me. I'm not against doing it in 10 to 15 rep range or anything like that, but for now we stay the course because it's working well. All right, let's bring it up. Yes. Okay, shoulders to finish. So we're doing our lying, incline lying cable lateral raise. So this is my variation of choice at the moment. I do mix up shoulder exercise from time to time. Sometimes they feel better or worse, and it's an easy sub. If you don't have to, do one particular exercise, like your equipment's not limited, mixing it up is not a bad thing, especially if your goal is muscle growth. Potentially it's a beneficial thing. There's probably some downside if you're changing so regularly, you never get good at anything. But this is my variation of choice. So essentially I have my bench set up in between the functional trainer or small cable machine. I'll take opposite handle. I've got my straps as always to kind of make grip a non-issue. I'll go to this side, and then while I'm sitting here, I'll kind of strap in, get my grip quite sound. When I've got that all set, lay back here, raising out to the side. So a really good variation from the perspective of like making sure your shoulders are the ones that go to failure. There's no swinging around in the body or cheating or momentum or whatever you want to call that shit. So I really like it for that perspective. It feels effective, so my perception of like stimulus feels really good. So I've kept this one as a keeper. I bet you someone can nitpick it in some capacity, but for me, it's good enough. Changing position than I was before, doing, I might have been doing like a through the legs one. That also has a, an issue with, you have to do both sides, but this is us for the time being. Let's do it. All right, that's a wrap on the workout, guys. A goodie. Week always starts off feeling pretty good. Come off of the weekend, not as much responsibility as the weekend, no work and stuff like that. Mondays always feel pretty good. So as the week gets on, it usually gets a bit more difficult for me, but nice, that was fun, enjoyable. So this week, we've also had a drop in calories and an increase in steps. So again, the idea is for that to be as sustainable as possible, so not to go two balls to the wall, that you cannot sustain it over the course of time, because if you get into a calorie deficit, that's really severe or significant, but you can only do it for a brief duration of time. You'll be here and then here, and then it'll be this kind of vicious cycle, which we do see in gyms. People go into these challenges or crash diets and they can't sustain them to get a significant amount of fat loss. Instead, if we do that at a milder level and we can do it over a longer period of time, it usually ends up with a better outcome, as well as no rebound and stuff like that. So, and those are really important things. People think, oh, and I can go harder, I can do it. But how long can you do it for? How close, like if that's your best week ever and the worst week you have as far as life and busyness and all this kind of stuff goes, can you sustain it at both? And that's how we gauge what we do. Not what you can do in your best week, but what you can do in your worst week, because then we can develop good routines and sustain it over time. All right, as always, if you're liking the content, hit the little subscribe up here. If you want to see future videos, hit up here. Or also I'm doing some shorts these days, so for shorter little descriptions of exercise selection, check out the shorts. And as always, it's about progress over perfection. Coach Dan, signing off.